Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and today we're going to do some stuff with forms and React. So if any of you have built something with React where you needed to handle form data, especially if you had to handle file uploads, let me know what you like to use. If if there's some package or something that makes it easy that you think is awesome, let me know and I'll check it out and I might use it. Otherwise, I think I'll just start out by making some controlled components, some controlled inputs, and we'll just go from there and see how much we can get done. I have on the screen the URL for our server, our ngrok server, so you can check out everything that we're doing, live. And I'm going to paste that into the live chat. Alright, I see some people are saying hi in the live chat. Hey everyone. Hey, thanks for watching. Okay, and as usual, we have the secondary stream going on Instagram as well. The link's in the description. So while we're waiting for everybody to join, let me just briefly thank those of you who submitted pull requests. So we had 4 or 3. Do we have 3 pull requests? Yeah, we had 3 pull requests since yesterday's stream. So thank you to Kevin and Sebastian for the pull requests. I merged these in. This one I closed just because Sebastian had already done the same thing in this pull request. But this pull request had some other stuff that I wanted to merge. So since I was going to merge this anyway, I just closed this one. Otherwise, there would have been merge conflicts because the same lines were being changed in the files. So, but we have basically some additional testing, and then now if you do clone the repo and you try to commit something, the tests will run on commit. So it'll be little extra in your console. You'll see the tests run, and when we can, I'm assuming that at some point during today's stream we'll commit something, so you'll be able to see what that looks like in the terminal. So that was awesome. Thanks, Kevin. And Sebastian did a few things. So he moved the components into the proper folder, so a little bit of organization, and made sure that it where we were using that component, the path changed to reflect the new location. And then also we have this. I mean, you could see it if you're checking out the ngrok link, but I'll bring it over. I think I have it on my other screen. Yeah, let me bring this over. So the upload button. So we ended the stream yesterday talking about this file upload. So what Sebastian did was took all the styles and some of the JavaScript for the file upload. Actually, it converted the JavaScript that was being used by Materialize framework into something that was better with React, more of the React way of doing things, and got the file upload working. So it looks good. It looks almost exactly like what I had before, which I'll bring that on the screen too to compare. So I got to open it again. This it always logs me out of the system that this is in, so I always have to log back in. But with the exception of the color and possibly the size, you can see it looks pretty much exactly the same. The only thing that I guess we don't have is this text, which I think is not necessary. Maybe the only reason I put that there was just to let people know that they could upload more than one file, but that's implied by the use of the plural files here as well, so I'm not even sure I'm gonna put that in here. Thank you for that, Sebastian and Kevin. And you can see I've added in the proper labels for a lot of these. And down here, actually this was way more tricky than I thought it would be. So the default for checkboxes in Material UI is that you can click anywhere on the label and it'll either select that checkbox or unselect it. So I tried to put a link in here, and I did put the link in, so you can, I was able to pass in an element, and I just wrapped this in a span and then put the link in, but I couldn't click it. Every time I tried to click the link, it actually, made the checkbox become selected and unselected. So it's a little bit odd. So the solution, after I tried a few things, the best solution was there's basically a div that was enclosing all of this, and I just made the div like I think 35 pixels wide. So now the div stops. You can see where it stops, like right here. So then that allows this link to work. So a little bit of an odd thing, but just thought I'd bring that up in case anyone wondered. If you looked at the code and saw the weird stuff I was doing with this, that's why I did it like that. Alright, so we have the form, and I mean, with the exception of some minor things, the padding and things like that, the names for these, this is pretty much what the form is going to be. Also change this a bit, but what I want to do is have this form actually do something, because right now nothing happens. You can hit the submit button and nothing happens. See, so we need to do something. So let me explain how I envision this working, and then you all can let me know whether or not that's a good idea, or if you have a better idea. So what will happen basically is all these will be controlled. Let me bring up, just so you all know, in case you're not familiar with the idea of a controlled input. Where did I have it? Always have too many windows open. Did I have it here? Oh, I had it up here the whole time. Okay, so controlled components. If you go to just the React docs, facebook.github.io/react/docs, and you go to the forums page, it talks about this, so you can read up more on it. But basically, what we're gonna do is every time one of these changes, so the value changes, it's gonna update the state for that component, and then the value, we get the value for that component from state. So what ends up happening is that we don't change the value directly. I mean, from a user's perspective, it works the same way. But what's happening behind the scenes is that we don't change the value directly. When we type in here the onChange fires, and then it changes the state, and then since the state has changed, it causes the render, the re-render, and then the value, you get the value from state. So everything kind of flows, I guess, differently. Normally it's just like directly changing the value when you type in here. Now why would we want to do it like that? Well, one nice thing is it makes it easy to do validation. So I don't know that I absolutely need a lot of validation for this, but it leaves us open to that if we do it like this right away. Also, all of our values then are going to be in the state, and it's going to be really easy to pull those values and do whatever we need to with them. So we're going to do that. We're going to grab at some point when the user clicks submit, we're going to need to get all those values, and what's probably going to happen is they're going to get sent to our server.js, which we may have to eject our create React app. So as you know, we use create React app to do this, and if you notice, we don't have a server.js file here. So we're probably going to need to eject it. Unless anyone else has a better idea, we're going to need to eject that, and then we're going to send our form data there and then handle everything there server side. That way, we don't have to worry about exposing any API keys on the client side, which currently I am actually doing to make this work where it is now, and the only reason I was comfortable doing that is because it was behind a password. So no one could even see this page unless they were able to log in, and only employees of the university could log in. So I was okay with that, because probably 99% of the employees would have no idea even how to find the key, and if they found it, they wouldn't know what it did for any of the APIs that we're going to be using. So now that it's not going to be behind a password, definitely don't want to handle that stuff client side. So I want to do everything server side, and that's the plan. So having said all that, what do you think? Let me know in the live chat. If you're watching this later on, let me know in the comments. If you're watching it way later on, then I guess don't worry about it because this project will probably already be completed. But if you do have an opinion, you can still let me know. I'll read it later on. It just won't get into this project, maybe a future project. So hey to everyone joining me in Instagram. I think, okay, it looks like I recognize the names in the Instagram, so you all know what's going on. I don't have to tell you to where to see the code at. Alright, so let me check the live chat, since I said a lot of stuff, and I want to hear what you all think. Alright, so Don Xavier says, for forms, you can go with Formsy React. Has some validation and other goodies, and if you want Material UI, check out Formsy Material UI. Okay, cool. I'm going to check that out. Let me bring that up on my other screen here. I like that they already have something with Material UI. Alright, so I'm checking out their GitHub page now. Let me bring this over. So we had a suggestion to use Formsy, the Formsy Material UI. Okay, it seems pretty straightforward. It's not a whole lot in the README. If you see something on GitHub that has a short README, it's either really simple or there's just not a lot of directions that come with it. So it could be really good or not really good. But this looks pretty straightforward. Maybe we'll use that. Let me see what else. What else you all think? Okay, Sebastian said Sebastian added something that should be showing up. Oh, okay. So let file value equals state file input or select the file upload. Okay, so basically Sebastian is saying here, this is our service request form component. That what should happen, the file value should say select a file to upload if there's nothing in state for, where's it? The file input. So yeah, I'm not really sure why that's not working. Let me refresh it. Where's it at? Let me refresh the page and see. That's odd. I'm gonna check what the state is in DevTools. It opened on the other screen there, but okay, that's odd. Maybe so it's showing an empty array for, actually no, it's, yeah, for file input it's showing an empty array. Maybe I don't know, maybe since it actually exists even though it's an empty array, it's not triggering the OR side of that. But that's cool. Since that's in there, I can make that work, and then that'll just be an easy way to have that text show up. So thanks for pointing that out, Sebastian. Okay, Rohan says, shouldn't a planning guide open in a new tab? That is a good idea. So if you notice when I click planning guide, it didn't open a new tab, but you would want it to open a new tab. Especially, actually I want to see if I type stuff in. I want to see if it saves if I were to hit back. No, it actually cleared it out. Yeah, so good call on that. Definitely want this to open in a new tab. Otherwise it would be super frustrating for someone to fill all this out, get to the bottom, say I'd like to read the planning guide first, and then have it all taken away. So I think on the current version it doesn't take it away, so it doesn't clear the fields. So we'll have to see. I was trying to think of a way where I could make everything stay there. I mean, the simplest solution is to make this open in a new tab. So I will do that. Let me add that. So I finally got the Trello board going a little bit. So I'll send a link to this. I'll share it and then put a link in the video. Hopefully I'll remember later on to do it, and then you all can check out this Trello board as I'm working with it, adding to it. And that should not take very long, so I'm going to put that down for a half of a Pomodoro cycle. Alright, so good stuff. You all have great ideas for me already, just at the beginning of the stream. Andrew says, hi Jesse, just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your work. As a beginner learning React, this has been so helpful to me. Oh, well, thanks for saying that. I'm glad that, that this is helpful to you, and I really appreciate you saying that, and then whenever anybody has some positive feedback for me, I appreciate that. I don't mind critical feedback either. So occasionally I get feedback that's not so positive, but there's always something that can be helpful, even in negative feedback, unless it's just completely crazy and somebody's really angry. But usually there's something helpful. But the positive stuff keeps me going, and it makes me really look forward to these streams. And really happy that I'm helping some of you out. I know you all are helping me out. I've learned so much from you since I've started streaming. I think this has been the fastest I've ever learned. Maybe since I've first, when you first start and you fly through HTML and CSS and think you're awesome, like, and then you hit JavaScript and are like, can't do anything once you start to do difficult things. So aside from that first early time of rapid learning, this has been like amazing, because when you all submit code to me, I have to try to figure it out. I don't want to just pull it in without understanding it. So I've been learning quite a lot. Oh, cool. Rollin said the Instagram stream is synced with this one. That's really cool. I'm glad. I never thought about it until now, but I guess it would be really hard to watch if they were out of sync. It would be weird. So that's cool that it's all synced up. Okay, Bill said that he used Formsy Material UI in a React project recently and liked how easy it was to use. Awesome. Definitely think I might end up using that. Okay. Sebastian said if I set the initial state to null, then this text should show up. So am I setting? Yeah, here it is. I am setting state there. Alright, let's check that out. Yeah, that works. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll probably end up changing the color, which I was going to change the color of these anyway, all of them, so I'll just do it when I do that. But cool, so now the text does appear there, and awesome. Cool, thanks for that, Sebastian. Sebastian, what's up with the frowny face emoji? Did I say something that made you sad? I don't remember what I was saying. Phillips said the Instagram people will be like question mark, question mark. Yeah, I've had people pop in on Instagram during the stream before and just type like WTF and then leave. They wonder why I'm just here. Because all you see on the Instagram stream is just me talking, not even looking at the stream most of the time. I'm looking at my screen and just talking with headphones on. So I imagine it is kind of weird. Alright, cool. Aimheisen here, and says hi. Hey, how's it going? How's the new job? You gotta let me know. I haven't heard from you in a while. And also, so sometimes I call you by whatever your name is on YouTube, but I mean I know what your real names are a lot of times, either from GitHub or Twitter or something. So if you have a preference, if for some reason you don't want me to use your real name on my stream, let me know, because otherwise I'll probably end up doing it at some point. It just reminded me because I always say aim high because that's his name in chat, but I do know his real name from Twitter. So let me know. If it doesn't matter to you, that's cool, and I'll just use whichever name. And otherwise, I don't want to, I don't know, if somebody's like in the witness protection program or something, I don't want to mess things up for you. So, so let me know if you don't want me to say your name on the stream. Oh, okay. John had a good idea. The planning guide could be a modal. All right, I'm gonna think about that. If the planning guide pops up as a modal, then I don't have to worry about anything happening to their data in the form. I'm gonna think about that. I kind of like that idea, especially since I'm gonna condense the planning guide a bit. Before the planning guide was spread out over several pages, so a modal wouldn't make quite as much sense. It would be a lot of information for the modal, but we'll see. Yeah, that might work. Hamza says the link here is only bolded. Would it be hard for the user to distinguish between basically to know that is a link? Yeah, it's possible that it could be difficult. I could maybe make it a different color. That would be more usually. What I have done on other sites is the link's not just bolded, it's actually a completely different color, whatever the main accent color is that I'm using. So maybe that would be better, to go with a different color. I really don't want to put in the underline, the standard default underline under a link. I just don't like how that looks. To me, if the underline under the link just looks really, really old school, like the early internet, and so I don't like it. Although I understand that people would immediately see like, hey, that's a link. But if I can get away with not having that and people still understanding it's a link, I'd rather do it like that. But I do understand what you're saying, Hamza. Okay, so Kevin says, I think you can get away without ejecting by just creating a server.js file and changing the npm start to do npm run build and then node serve JS. So, okay, cool. That's good to know. I'd rather not eject if I don't have to. So I will try that. I'm going to copy what you just put in the live chat and paste it somewhere, because in case the chat gets really long and that message gets deleted, I want to have it. So I'm going to put it right in there. Cash App says, I am lacking motivation to code. I want to, but I end up not doing it. Yeah, that's tough. I know. I've been there. I guess I'm trying to think what I do to get motivated. It's easier to get motivated now than before, I guess, when I was freelance, because now, like, I have a boss that could potentially say, like, what are you doing? Get to work. So that helps. I found when I lack motivation, usually I'm getting depressed, so I need like exercise, possibly caffeine. But does anyone else have any good ideas for getting motivated? Go ahead and put them in the live chat if you do. Okay, Sebastian, I finally understand why Sebastian put the the frown emoji in the chat. So I had missed the first time that he gave the solution to what was going on here. So sorry. You know, sometimes it takes me a while to see things in the chat. So the chat is very active right now. So I'm gonna have to pull away from it and do some coding here in a minute, because we're already a half hour in and I've done very little. All right, so let me do some coding. I'll do my I'll set my timer, so I'll come back to the live chat whenever my Pomodoro timer is up, or if I need your help, I'll come back to the live chat, you know, before it's up. Which the likelihood of me needing help is really high, as you all know. So. But for now, so don't worry if I didn't get to your comment or question in the live chat. I will get to it eventually. Let's see. So, actually, you know what I want to try first? Just to see, because this is going to be a big deal. I'd like to try this because I'm really curious as to how I would do the custom server stuff. Yeah, let me see. Where's my Packagejson file? So in case you're not familiar with what's going on here, maybe if you're just joining or you're not familiar with React, so we created this using Create React App, and that took care of a lot of the setup that goes into like setting up Webpack and hot module reloading and a lot of stuff that can be a headache to set up at the beginning of the project. And you don't really need to know how to do all that if you just want to get started and do something basic with React. But if you want to start doing custom things, you can't do it by default with Create React App, because a lot of that stuff's kind of hidden away. And that's what makes it so easy to get started with and use, but it also makes it difficult to customize. So they built in a feature called Eject, which lets you basically see all that customization stuff. Once you eject, though, you can't go back. So I'd rather not eject if I don't have to. If I'm not ejected yet, I can still update and take advantage of whatever new stuff is coming. So it's definitely a trade-off. I've done it. I've done projects where I never ejected, and I've also done stuff where I have ejected. So I guess it just really depends on what you need to do. So right now, I know that at some point I'm going to want to do things in my server.js file. I was thinking that I might have to eject, but maybe I won't have to eject. So let's see. I wonder. I just had a thought. Could I make a branch and eject the branch and then just see what happens, just see how bad that is, and then still have my master branch be not ejected? Right, that could work, right? Let's I kind of want to do it now that I'm talked about it. Yeah, let's do that. I really want to show you all what it's if you've never done it before or seen it, like, so that you don't have to try to eject one of your own projects and, you know, potentially mess it up if you don't want to. So let's do it on this, because I haven't done a project that I've ejected for a long time. So yeah, let's try it and see what happens. What do you think? All right, Sebastian recommended just make a copy of the folder the project is in, so you don't mess up your Git. Would that mess it up? I mean, would it mess it up that bad that I should completely have a different directory for my project? Because otherwise, I kind of like. I should try it. Okay. Yes, it seems like a few people. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Kevin says that worst case you could just delete the node modules and do an npm install again. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right? I can. That should work, right? Although now that you all said that, maybe it does make a lot of sense that I should do this in a different directory. So let me do that. Where's my terminal at? So if you joined late and didn't see the link, here's the link. Let me put that. I pasted it in really early on, like within the first minute. So I'm gonna paste it in again just in case, because you see there's not really a lot of connections open. Okay. So let me go. And I'm just gonna go to. Alright, so I'm going to pull the project into this folder and then eject it in there. And then that way, there's no chance that I will mess up what we're actually working on. So, this will be a good demo of how to pull down projects from GitHub as well. So, this might be a good day for beginners. A little bit different than what I thought we were going to do. I just noticed today that GitHub is like the first thing on my screen when I open a new tab, and I was proud of that. Like I go to GitHub more frequently than anything else. I was afraid it would be like Netflix or something, and then but no, it is GitHub. So I've been working a lot. Let's see where we at. Not CI, Resource Center. Okay, so if you want to clone a repo, which I'm sure you've heard me say that before, so you go to GitHub and then go to the repo that you want. In this case, this is what we want, and we go to this clone or download button and copy. Now this depends on how you have it set up. If you have your GitHub account set up on your machine with SSH keys, you can use this. Otherwise, you can use HTTPS, and I think that will prompt you to type in your GitHub password. So otherwise, with SSH, you don't need the password. But either one will work. So I've copied that, and now I'm in the directory that I want to be in for this, and I'm gonna type git clone, and I'm gonna put that in. Now let's go Resource Center. There you go. So here's our files. Now once you've done that, you want to either type in npm install or yarn, depending on which you want to use. If you have yarn and the file has a yarn lock, then you probably just want to use yarn. But that's entirely up to you, so what you like to use for that. And that's going to take all the stuff in Packagejson, and it's going to install that. So otherwise, if you try to run this right now, it may not work because you don't have, actually there's no way it will work. I'm pretty sure you have none of the node modules right now. Generally you don't want to sync your node modules to your GitHub repo. That's just kind of a waste since you have your Packagejson. Everybody that downloads it knows what they need. So there's no reason to track your node module folder. Okay, So now let's type in yarn. I should have done this immediately so it was working while I was talking. So now we're going to type yarn. I just realized that this is really tiny. Sorry about that. Let me make it bigger. Okay, so yarn is now getting all the packages and dependencies that it needs and installing them. So when yarn is finished, we'll have everything we need to run this. Now, what we're going to do as soon as this finishes is actually run eject, and then we can compare, since we'll have both versions open, we can compare the file structure just to get an idea of what's different. Update yarn. I get this message a lot. I think sometimes either yarn gets updated a lot or I'm doing it wrong. Okay. I want to open this up in Atom. And we see the Packagejson that we have here, which is the same as the one we have. Oops, I have them all on screen. So pretty much the same, or exactly the same. Here we go. So exactly the same. So when I run eject, then we can compare and see the differences. So let me go back here and I'll run, is it just eject? Yeah. So using yarn or npm or whatever you want. I think you can just do yarn eject. I don't think you have to do yarn run eject. Let's see if this works. Yep. Are you sure you want to eject? It's permanent. Yes, I'm sure. Ejected successfully. That was so fast. Okay. So all this stuff should now be in our Packagejson. So let's check it out. Yep. Alright, so now look at all this stuff. So we couldn't see a lot of this before. And now we can. This was all still there behind the scenes. It was just kind of hidden to make things a bit more simple. Okay, so now we actually have, we have access to all of this. What else do we have? We have a scripts folder, and this has some additional files, some additional JavaScript files. And we have a config folder. So we got a lot of extra stuff. We have our Webpack configs, which there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff commented out, but there's still a lot of stuff in there. So you can see it saves you a lot of time and effort configuring all of this. But that's what happens when you eject. So there we go. Now that I have ejected, now I'm kind of like thinking I definitely don't want to eject if I don't have to. Because now I remember how crazy it gets when you eject and that all of a sudden there's all this stuff. Okay. So definitely not going to commit that change. So for demonstration purposes, we have ejected, and now I actually have another place where I could potentially just switch over and test what's going on. See how hard it would be to do it with it ejected. So I guess it's beneficial to have that right now. Hopefully I won't need to use it though, and you can see why it just gets a lot more complex when you have all that there. Just my Packagejson file alone got really big. Alright, so it looks like, how much time? Okay, I'm good on time. I'm not, I see a lot happening in the live chat, and I will check back on that. Just seeing a few of the comments here. Oh, I see Patrick says, yeah, no eject. Yeah, you can see it's crazy when you eject. It's definitely, I'm not at all an expert at Webpack, so you know, all this kind of stuff, I'm not really sure what's going on. Okay, so now I think it's obvious to me. I think I needed to see that just to know, like, how worth it is it for me to try to make this work without ejecting. And now that I've seen all the extra stuff that happens when you eject, like I said, I've seen it before, but it's been a really long time, so I'd forgotten. But now that I've seen it, I'm a little bit more motivated to try to make things work without having to eject. So that was useful, at least for me. Hopefully it was useful for you all to see what happens when you eject that. So let's go in now and actually start working with our form. Okay, so here's a question. Do I want to make these controlled components if I'm going to use a UI? What was that? The material UI. I can't remember what the name was. Formsy? That was it. I think it was Formsy. This one, yeah, Formsy Material UI. Would this then take care of some of that? Would I end up messing this up if I tried to? Or just from what I'm seeing right here, I guess not. Alright, so I do want to kind of test this and read up on it, so I'm not going to run this right now. So I'm going to move that off to the side. I just don't want to spend a lot of time reading documentation while I'm live streaming, because that's probably not really beneficial to anyone to stare at my screen while I read something. Alright, so let's go. Where did I lost my there it is. Okay, so for our controlled components, basically we're going to end up doing something like this. So this is the section on handling multiple inputs, which obviously is what we're doing. We have a lot of inputs on that page. So the way that they're doing it here in the documentation is they're adding in into state, scoring number of guests, the name. Okay, so they're taking the name of the input and then they're using that as the key, and then obviously the value of the input is the value. And then on their handle, they have a handle input change event. You can see basically it's kind of nice. So they only have to say, you know, set state once. Everything else they just make it a const, and then they're able to grab what they need from that event. So they can grab the value. So you can see they even have, you know, a checkbox, which is great because we're gonna have a lot of checkboxes. So that's cool. So I don't really want to have to make a const for every single one. So hopefully there's a better way to do that, because that would be a lot. But that's better than having to have a totally different, call to set state going on. So I guess what I need to do is give a name to these inputs, because I don't think they have names. They don't have IDs or anything. So we need to do that before we do anything else, because we have no way to identify them. So let me see. I'm assuming that Material UI just passes down the same thing. Yeah, a name. Okay. So we can just use name like normal. So I'll just give it to a few of these. Okay, so I'm just going to do a couple just to make sure that this is working. And then in our props, name, I guess we'll have, we don't really want any of these to have a beginning value, right? Yeah, because we're using our floating label basically, so we don't need a value to begin with. So since that'll be a string, I guess we'll start out with string. What was the next one? Email, phone. Okay. And let's grab this. Oops. Let me grab this as well. Make sure we get that first. We got semicolons. Alright, so I'm not going to manually get rid of the semicolons. They'll be gotten rid of when we commit. Okay, so I think we have... Alright, we need the on change. And other than that, I think we have everything. Let me change. Oh, okay. I misread this completely. So I was very mistaken a few minutes ago. So let me correct, and I'm sure you've already corrected me in the live chat. So I totally misread this, so I apologize. I was reading over this hastily before the stream was about to start, and I misread this, somehow thinking that I would have to make a const for each one, which I thought seemed a bit ridiculous, and in fact it was ridiculous because that's not even what they were doing. So it looks like I won't have to do that. So what's happening with these consts is, so this is the target. I don't know what I was thinking. Now it seems so obvious to me. I guess that happens sometimes. I didn't have any caffeine until just right when I started the stream, so I'm going to blame it on that. I've got my G Fuel now, so now my brain's working. Okay, so we're grabbing the event, okay, we're getting the target, and we're saving that to a variable. Now we're using that to get the value. So we can set that if it equals checkbox, right, then we're going to get target checked. Otherwise, else, right, we're going to get target value. Okay, and that's because for the other inputs, we can just grab the value and that'll give us the value of the input. But for checkboxes, it's different. So we don't check the value of it. We just want to know whether it's checked or not. All right, and that's going to be a Boolean. So this makes a lot more sense now. Then we want to get the name, and that's what we're using here. So we're going to get the name and the value here. That makes so much sense. Sorry for being such an idiot a few minutes ago. So I'm sure those of you who know what you're doing with React knew immediately that I didn't know what I was talking about. But I especially apologize to those of you who are new. I probably confused you quite a bit. I myself was confused, so sorry about that. So it seems like now we actually do have everything we'll need. So let's just try it out and see if we're actually going to be able to change the state. So I'm just going to type in some nonsense here, and then we're going to check the state. Let me inspect this, and then I'll bring over DevTools. Assuming it worked, I'll bring it over and be impressive. If it didn't work, I just won't even show it. But it did work. Okay, so let me make it bigger. Okay, so you can see here's the state for our component, our service request component. Here's our state. We have email. We have, and this is the nonsense that I just typed in for all of them. Okay, but we have email, name, phone number, and that's exactly what we need. So we have all these values, and let me see if I can, let's do this in real time. So you can see it change. You can see the flash of kind of a green color under name as it changes. So very cool. So real time, on change, it updates state. Awesome. Now I just realized that we in fact did not add the value like I said we were going to do. So let me do that really quick. Value equals state. Okay. I should probably check the documentation to make sure I did that right, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was. And let's make sure that still works. Okay, cool. Now, if I want to go, I wonder if it'll let me change the state right here in DevTools. It'll be really cool if it does. Where's it at? Where's my... There we go. Okay, let me see if I can change it. Cool. Alright, so you see I changed state here in DevTools, and then it changed it here. So we can see, since I didn't set the value on this, the phone element, it shouldn't change. Okay, see, so it doesn't change. So that's what I was trying to explain at the beginning of the stream. Kind of the flow that it was going to take was the value is going to be set by the state, and the state is set by what you type in here. So hopefully that demonstrated that. Now my timer did go off a minute ago, so I'm going to go back to the live chat, and All right, and the it's been an hour of stream because my Instagram live stream just stopped because there's an hour limit. So wow, I had 11 viewers, so that's pretty good. I mean, not nowhere near what we get for the YouTube stream, but I mean that's as I expected. But that's cool. I mean, I just kind of want to give people the opportunity to see what I look like in case they're interested. Sometimes that's nice instead of just hearing someone's voice, to be able to put a face with it. And I don't know about you, but it's always really hard for me to read like what somebody is feeling if I can't see their face. Like, are they serious? Are they joking or happy? Like, it's hard to tell. So if you can see their face, it's kind of easier. So I'll tell you, I'm actually smiling a lot when I do this stream, so I really like doing this. So that's normally my expression. All right, so I'm scrolling up in the live chat. It looks like I can still read the stuff at the top, so that's good. So I won't miss anyone's questions or comments. I just saw earlier when I was saying I won't say your name on air if you don't want me to, and I had mentioned the witness protection program. Rohan said that escalated quickly. Witness protection. It did. I mean, I was just trying to think of some reason why someone wouldn't want me to say their real name, and that's the first thing that came to mind. Oh, okay. Sebastian says I need to remove exact in the link and check console, so I guess I'm getting an error. I have DevTools up now, so let's check that out. Oh, okay. Unknown prop exact on the A tag. Remove this prop from the element. Link. Okay. Let me remove that. I will remove that right now so I don't forget. Yeah, when I was doing this, I remembered that I had to put exact in somewhere when I was using React Router, but I couldn't remember exactly where or how to put it in, and I didn't bother looking it up. And I put it in and it worked, so I just left it at that, and I didn't even check the console. So thanks for that, Sebastian. Oh, okay, cool. So Tiffany said when we were talking about the link and making sure that people knew that that really was a link. So this planning guide link, which is this. So Tiffany said a different color text triggers. Hey, that's a link too. So okay, cool. I agree. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, it looks like Rohan agrees as well. Maybe use some other highlight color for the link. Okay, cool. Oh man, Brian says yarn or npm and why. I'm interested. I wonder if any like a huge debate got started. Let me see. It doesn't look like it. Oh man, I was afraid there was going to be this giant debate about yarn or npm. It looks like there wasn't. Occasionally that's happened about code editors. Somebody mentions a code editor, and then the live chat is just filled with people talking about their favorite editor. Or usually it's not even their favorite editor. It's whatever editor they don't like. And they talk about why it's bad. So I actually like, in answer to Brian's question, I like Yarn, but I've heard that the newest version of NPM has some of the features that Yarn has, and it's also fast. So I like Yarn because it has the Yarn lock file and because it was faster than NPM. But if that's not true anymore, and NPM actually has a similar file and it's just as fast or faster, then it probably makes more sense to just use NPM, since you'd have it anyway, instead of installing Yarn in addition to that. So maybe I'll have to check out the newest version of NPM and see what I think about it, and then I might actually switch away from Yarn. But for now, I'm going to stick with Yarn until I get the time to check out NPM again, the newest version. Okay, so we had a question earlier about how to stay motivated to code when you don't feel like coding. Umberto says, I watch people create things or tutorial videos about stuff I'm interested in to get motivated. So that's cool. I didn't even think about that. That's a good idea. I guess that would be motivating, like just to remind yourself of the cool things that you can do. Yeah, that is cool. It is really amazing. Like, coding is amazing. You just get to create things like where there's nothing there, and you start typing code and all things happen. That's really cool. And then you can just mess with it and start over completely, and it doesn't matter if you break it, because it's just really cool. There's not really a lot that you could do that's like that you could compare that to, just the flexibility of it. Isaiah said, I listen to Johnny Cash to get motivated. Cool. Don Xavier says, motivated, nothing like some nice tunes. Gotta work with tunes and coffee. Okay, cool. Yosef says he should get engaged with his peers. Okay, yeah, that's I agree with the music thing and the coffee thing as well. But then also Yosef's comment about getting engaged with peers, that can be really good. I guess I don't have a lot of experience with having peers that also code, because I mostly code by myself. And I'm not like working with other people on projects until now that I'm working with all of you. So that actually is motivation for me, that I know I'm going to do the stream, and so I want to get better and know more what I'm doing so I can be more helpful to you all. But I know, like, when I don't often work out as much as I should nowadays, but when I was younger, I used to work out all the time. And if you have a partner or some people that you work out with, you're way less likely to skip a workout. And I imagine it's probably the same thing. If you have other people that you code with and you talk about coding with, you're way less likely to stop coding, because they will encourage you and call you out if you don't. And you'll have like positive motivation to want to have new things to talk about when you see them. So that's definitely a good idea. Let's see. Hamza says, why don't you use template strings, man? They're so better. Actually, I'm not sure. I can't remember what I was doing when that comment came up. So Hamza, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're referring to with the template strings thing. So normally I do use template strings or template literal syntax. I use that almost all the time, unless it's something really simple, and then I just use, sometimes I'll just use normal like string concatenation. Tiffany says, listen to upbeat music while you work. Suggestion, Two Door Cinema Club. Okay, never heard that. I'll have to check it out. Philip says, try the Neo method, electronic. Actually, I listen to a lot of different music when I code. So depending on the day, I could be listening to anything. It's the only music that I probably never listen to is country music. So don't like country music, but pretty much anything else I like. But I do listen to electronic music. Today I listen to a lot of electronic music. I don't know about anyone here, but if I really want to get motivated, I listen to music from the Rocky movies. So I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Rocky movies. A lot of them came out, I think they started come out in the 70s, some came out in the 80s, and then they started making new ones within the last 10 years or so. But those soundtracks always get me fired up. I remember watching those movies when I was a kid and getting so pumped up. So so that helps me. Maybe if there's something like that you have like strong emotions with when you hear it, that could probably help you out. All right, Isaiah says, how important is it to know GraphQL for a React developer? I don't know GraphQL, and to tell you the truth, I never considered myself a React developer, but maybe I should think about it because I'm building sites for my job and for clients on the side with React. So I'm not really sure how you define React developer, but I develop sites with React, so maybe I am. I don't know. But anyway, that's not really the question. Honestly, I do think GraphQL is really cool from what I've read about it. I do want to learn it, and I think that it's going to be used more. So like if I had to guess, I would say GraphQL is going to be the thing that people use. It seems like it makes a lot more sense. I mean, I like REST APIs. I love working with REST APIs. They're really easy to work with. But GraphQL does seem like it makes more sense than the REST APIs, just in terms of like you can get exactly the data you want in less trips. So it seems like there would be a less waste in terms of getting data that you really don't need and making a lot of extra trips. Whereas with GraphQL, you could probably get exactly the data you need in one trip. So I think GraphQL is important. Is it necessary to know? Definitely not. Is it important? I don't know. I think it's pretty important. I think right now you definitely don't need to know it. But I think it's going to be used more and more as kind of more people adopt it, and I don't know. That's just my guess, but I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Something else better could come out in a week, and then we'll forget about GraphQL. But I would say if you have the time to learn it and you want to learn it, then go for it. Rollin says, by the way, the upload file list is not scrollable. Might get people confused. Okay, cool. I'm going to move this over to the other screen just in case I have like some top secret files. Actually, I don't have anything crazy, but I do have files that are like the names of people who have applied for the web developer job, so I don't want to put their names on YouTube. So I'm going to open this on my other screen just in case. Okay, I'm cool. I'll bring this back. I just have my thumbnails for all my videos here. So let's open this. Let me open a bunch of them. Dang it. And see what's going on here. Okay, so you're saying it's not scrollable for this list. Okay. Yeah, people might get confused. I don't really know offhand how I would make this scrollable. I don't know, maybe I could do something with CSS with the overflow. Yeah, maybe I could do some with the overflow property. So I will add that to the list. And I'm going to give that a 1 Pomodoro cycle because in case my first idea doesn't work, it might take a little bit longer. All right, cool. Thanks for that, Rohan. I'm actually really glad I finally like kind of set this up, because it is a lot easier for me to just put something in here instead of forgetting about it. Okay, let me see. Man, I just look. There's a lot of stuff going on in the live chat. I want to make sure I get to all of it, but probably be a good idea to do a bit more with this. Let me think. What do I need? Actually, you know what? I'm kind of thinking there's not really anything that... Everything that I'm going to do at this point for a while is just going to be repetition. So I'm just going to be doing the same thing that I did with this to all of these. And then at that point, I would maybe start working on something else related to this. So I think I'm kind of at the point where by the time I would get all this done, I would want to end the stream anyway. So instead of just repeating the exact same thing that I did, which I don't think would be very helpful, I think I'm going to take the questions, simply because there's so much in the live chat. I'm only halfway through everything that was in there. So I definitely want to get to the questions. Also, I do kind of want to get out of work at a decent time, because I think I need to go to the doctor's. So I hurt my wrist. So I don't know, you might have noticed if you watched on the Instagram feed that I was holding my wrist. So it's on my right hand, and I'm right-handed. And maybe like a month ago, I was like playing with my kids in the pool, and I was throwing them. And at some point, like after I'd been throwing them for a really long time and I was tired, I lifted one of them up, and I just felt some like it's pain in my wrist. And I just tried to be tough and say like, oh, it's no big deal, it'll be fine. And I never did anything about it, and it's slowly gotten worse and worse every day, to the point now where if I use my wrist at all, it hurts. And that's a problem, because obviously like I need to move my wrist around. Like even moving my wrist around to select things, you know, like on the screen, you know, to move the cursor around hurts. So I think I probably ought to go to the doctor's, just on the off chance that maybe it's something serious. I at least maybe should get like some sort of brace or something so that I can not move it as much, because right now it's just really hard not to move it. Like I always am like picking up the baby or doing something, and I just keep making it worse. Anyway, enough about that. I'm sure no one watches this for my health updates. Let's see. But I guess it is a good lesson. If you're a developer, you need your hands most likely to work. So take care of them, and don't put off getting them checked out if you've heard something. Alright, so at this point, if you are here for the code and you don't want to stick around for the question and answer session, thank you so much for watching. And you can safely tune out. Probably won't be doing any more coding, and I'll be back tomorrow, most likely at the same time. Otherwise, if you can stick around for a little bit longer and have a question or want to help out in answering some questions, then check out the live chat, put your question in there. If you're shy, you can just direct message me on Twitter, and I'll try to get to your question whenever I can. Or if you can't stick around to hear my answer, you can either catch the answer later on if you watch the recording of this, or you can message me some other way on Twitter or some other social media. The link for my Twitter is in the description. Okay. I hadn't said that in a while, so I figured I may as well say it for anyone that's new and doesn't know how the stream kind of works. So unofficially, the stream is split up into two parts: the code part and the question and answer part. All right, so we're still talking about in regard to the motivation thing. So Mary says, I have a few things that help with motivation: group co-working, not so much teamwork, but working around other people working. So sharing that working energy. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I could see that. So maybe actually I have rarely done this, but I see a lot of people, especially like coders on Instagram, always are posting pictures of them working at a cafe or something with other people. So I don't do that a lot just because where I'm at, there's not really a lot of cafes with good Wi-Fi that you could go and work at. So it's not an option for me. But I think that's kind of, at least it seems popular from what I see online. So good advice. Thank you. Yosef says, by the way, I'm learning Ajax and listen to your live coding in the background to help me to get motivated. Oh, cool. All right. So I guess my live coding can be motivation as well. I could definitely see my live coding being motivation for somebody saying, like, how does this guy have a live stream on YouTube that people watch? And, like, I'm better than him. How does this... I could see people being motivated by that. But anyway, I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. Oh, Patrick says the Brain Food Spotify playlist. I'll have to check that out. I don't know if I've listened to the Brain Food playlist. Maybe I have at some point. Yeah, definitely. If you like listening to music and you can spare the, I don't know, like $10 or less a month to get Spotify Premium, I definitely recommend that. And this is not sponsored by Spotify. This is my honest opinion. My productivity went up when I got Spotify Premium because the commercials got so annoying for me. It broke my train of thought, and it really did help to get Spotify Premium. So I think that's a legitimate business expense. So if you don't have it, try it out. Sometimes they have really good deals where you can get like 3 months for 99 cents a month or something like that. So try it out whenever one of those deals happen. That really helped me out. All right, Rohan says, working with a couple of people who are motivated enough can be a push for everyone, but teams generally take motivation away. Okay, that's interesting. So, yeah, I can agree with that, I guess. It depends on who you're working with on your team, I would say. There are some people and some personalities that are just a drain on the team, but then sometimes there are people that are just so positive that it does help. I know there used to be someone that worked in my department, and she retired, but even now when I see her, every time I see her, she tells me, oh, Jesse, you're so smart. You can do anything. You're going places. And she always says that. I always laugh, but that makes me feel so good about myself. And she's not, she, I think, genuinely believes that. And she would convince me, like, once I applied for a job that was way out of my league, and it was partly because she convinced me and talked me up that I should do it, that I would be great at it. So people like that can help you be motivated. Really positive, upbeat people, I think, are great for motivating you. So if you have people like that in your life, hang out around them more often, or try to find somebody like that and make them your friend. Okay, it looks like... Okay, cool. So Kevin is giving me some links. I'm going to copy these and check these out. after the stream. Okay, all right, I see. This one definitely looks helpful. Is exactly what we want to do. Using create React app with React router and Express.js. This is exactly what we're doing. Okay, cool. So thank you, Kevin. Definitely going to check that out. Yeah, Rohan says node modules isn't traced by Git. Yeah, actually, so by default, node modules can be traced by Git. So you do have to put it in your git ignore file. So let me show you this actually, because I do see this occasionally, that people will have their node modules in their repo. So it's really easy fix here. Within your git ignore file, if you don't have this in your project, like, you can just copy it from somebody else's project that's similar to yours if you need to. I never make these from scratch. I always copy it from either a previous project of mine or a similar project of someone else's. And you want to say don't track node modules. And then, there's other stuff in here. This one was created automatically when I did create React app. But if you were doing a project from scratch, then this wouldn't be there automatically, so you'd have to put it in. If you happen to do your project and set up Git and forget to do this first, and then you want to ignore your files later on, you have to run a few commands to get that to work. So I actually just did this. Someone wanted me to take a look at their project, and so I cloned it, and the node modules were being tracked. So I sent a pull request, basically just uploading a git ignore. I think I changed a few other things, but one of the things I changed for them was I put this in. So let me just show you how to do that quickly. I guess I'm not going to be able to show you because obviously I have it set up the right way, but let me show you where. I guess I can at least give you the resource that I used, because it's happened to me several times, so it would be useful. Let's see. I'm trying to type on my other screen to show you this resource, but I can't type today. So, alright, there we go. So what you'll want to do is let me type this for you. So you want to do git rm cached, and then you can put the name of your file if it's just one file. Or, like, let's say you didn't have this at all and there's a bunch of stuff, and now you upload your git ignore file, or you create your git ignore file, then you can just do like all, right? You want to do the dot, you want to do everything, and then you can go ahead with adding your other files. So you can do a git status, it'll show you everything, and then you want to add and then push the changes. So I'm pretty sure that's how I've done it before. I was looking for that command. So that's what you want to do to get everything back in order. And let me know. I'm sure you'll let me know in the live chat if I've missed something here, and someone has noticed that I'm missing something important. But there's a ton of Stack Overflow questions about that, so I'm sure you'll be able to find something if you need a little bit more instruction on that. Okay, Dixie says, I find watching Jesse's live streams gets me motivated. Seeing him go through the errors and everything is comforting to me. At least good food and music can help too. Yeah. I like that comment. I've had a few times I've had people say like that um, they like that I make mistakes and work through them. And I like that comment because that was really one of like the main points of this was to show people that I make mistakes. And because a lot of your tutorial videos, like, they edit out any mistakes, right? You want to keep the videos as short as possible and to the point, so you edit out the mistakes. So I wanted people to see the mistakes, so they don't get the impression that if they're making mistakes, somehow there's something wrong with them, when in reality we all make mistakes all the time. But it's always funny when I get that, because I know people mean it as a compliment, but in the back of my mind I'm thinking like everybody likes just watching me mess up. And I know that's not how you all mean it, but it's just funny to me that in a sense that's true, right? Like, the main draw of this live stream is the fact that I mess up and try to work through it. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think that's kind of funny. It's amusing. But anyway, Dixie, thanks for saying that. I'm glad that that's comforting to you. That's definitely what I intend, is for people to feel a little bit better when they make a mistake, because they see me make so many. John Hansen said you're going to need some heavy metal music before you hit that enter key to eject. So if I would have seen that, I could have switched to some heavy metal, but I didn't see it in time. So actually, my Spotify stopped. I made it through this big playlist, and so it just stopped. So I just restarted it again. Patrick says, what is the point of using Git if you can't feel confident that you can branch and experiment? Just use a branch you can always clone from GitHub. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought too at first, Patrick. It was actually kind of cool the way I did it in another folder, and then it was easier to compare them side by side. I know I could have just switched back and forth from the branches, but I'm actually like a little bit interested in going in now to that where the other directory where I ejected, and just messing with things and possibly breaking it. But I don't know, to me now I like inadvertently have a little playground now that I can mess with all the configurations. So I'm thinking if I get a little bit of time, I can go mess around and maybe learn Webpack a bit better. So anyway, it turned out all right. I definitely agree. Like I had figured I could just make a branch, and then I was kind of second guessing myself there and just went with the entirely safe route. But for future reference for anybody, it should have been fine to just make a branch and do the eject on the branch, and I could have just switched back or cloned or so I do agree, Patrick, and Kevin. It looks like Kevin was agreeing with Patrick as well. Oh, Rohan. I mentioned earlier that when I open up a new tab, it's GitHub at first, and I said that I was proud of that. I was afraid it would be Netflix. Rohan says his is Netflix. I don't mean anything bad by that. If your tab is Netflix, I like Netflix too. Although my Netflix hasn't been working. I suspect that my wife canceled the Netflix account and didn't tell me. So I keep forgetting to ask her about it. But every time I try to watch Netflix for the last few days, it hasn't worked. But anyway, don't feel bad if yours is Netflix on there. It's this is my work computer, by the way. So maybe that would make a difference. I never watch Netflix on this computer. Bill said his is localhost. That's awesome. That's That's really cool. Oh, that's right. Okay, so I see Kevin says you don't need a password, not even a GitHub account to clone, just to push. That's right. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you for clarifying that. Um, anyway, I don't know what I was thinking, but when I went in, when I showed you all how to clone from GitHub, I mistakenly said that if you went with the HTTPS, you would have to put in your password, but that was wrong. You only need your password if you were to then try to push to a repo that you've cloned with the HTTPS. So don't worry about, you can clone, and as Kevin said in the live chat, you don't even need to have a GitHub account to clone using the HTTPS link. So forget what I said earlier. That was a mistake. Hopefully hopefully I didn't mislead anyone there. But yeah, only if you're going to push does the password come into play. So sorry about that. Okay, so Aim High says, have you finished your React Nano degree course? So that was asked a while ago, so not sure if you're still around to get the answer, but I haven't finished it yet. So the way it works is the courses don't start. So like I started the first part. I just want to show you how this works. Basically, the courses are split up and they have start dates. So I finished the first part. So the curriculum here, I finished React, the introduction, and React fundamentals. But the next section, React and Redux, starts in 6 days, 21 hours, 22 minutes, and 14 seconds. So I can't take it now. So I have been doing some of the extracurricular stuff. So I started like the ES6 things. So these are just like, you don't need to do these to complete the course, but they're just in addition, which I think is cool. So they have stuff on ES6, asynchronous JavaScript, Git and GitHub, and then career feedback stuff. So like helping you with your resume, your GitHub profile, LinkedIn. So I'm going to work on these when I have time until the next one gets up and running. So this one starts in 6 days, and then the last one, React Native, doesn't start for 41 days. So I will not be through with this course anytime soon. But anyway, that's how it works. So I was a little bit surprised because some of the other courses don't work like this. This is different. So not everything on Udacity works like this. All right, so Mija, M-I-J-A, not sure how to pronounce that, so I'm gonna say Mija, but I'm pretty sure that's not right. So let me know how you would like me to pronounce that. But anyway, the question is, what is the enjoyable part of doing React app? Don Xavier says simplicity and decoupling, for me at least. And so yeah, I guess what do I like about React? I don't know, I kind of like React. There's some features of React that were really useful to me. So like server-side rendering. So being able to do server-side rendering, which is not a new thing, right? Like you can server-side render in other like PHP, like, but being able to server-side render and then use all the same stuff to do client-side routing. That's really cool and useful. I like that. I thought it was weird at first to mix in JavaScript and HTML and CSS, but now I think it's kind of cool to do it all in one place and have it all like all together for each component. So that's really cool. If I thought about it more, I would think of some other things, but just off the top of my head, that's kind of what I like, what's enjoyable for me about it. And actually, honestly, this might sound bad, but if I'm being totally honest, React is just like the cool thing to do right now. I mean, this is not a good reason to choose something, so I think React is good in itself, but it is a little bit cool to be like using the thing that everybody is talking about on Twitter and stuff, right? Like, I'm not saying that that's a good reason, but I'm just saying that that's a bonus, right? Whenever I can honestly say that like I'm using technology that's being used by some of the big tech companies and some of the latest like coolest things that are coming out, I like being able to say that, right? That's nice. I never like saying like, yeah, I'm building stuff with technology that's outdated, right? That's not, I would never want to say that, right? I would never say that with pride, right? But it's kind of cool to say like, hey, React is a somewhat new technology that is being adopted by a lot of like cutting edge companies, and I'm using that. So that's kind of cool too. Like I said, not the reason. You'd never want to pick something just because you think it's cool or popular at the moment, but it's a bonus if the thing that you like for other reasons also is cool. Okay, Misha says, this looks like suffering, but I support efforts. Yeah. I guess it may look like suffering at sometimes, but sometimes like stuff works and it works out well and it's really cool. So I guess it just depends on what you're doing. All right, Don Xavier says, seeing this for the first time, it looks like a roller coaster ride, but once you delve into it, it's simple. Yeah, I mean, it does, it gets a lot easier. Bill says, I had to come back to React about 3 times before it finally clicked. Now it's my go-to when doing any project, to the point where if I sit down to write plain old HTML, I stall for a minute. Yeah, definitely. Don Xavier says, same here. Mija says, I hope it becomes funnier at some point. So more fun. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. React took me a while to get used to as well. So I think things don't start to get fun until you really get the hang of it. I think a lot of things are like that, not just with programming. So it's probably not going to seem that fun at first, but once you're comfortable with it, it does get more fun. Like I've found it to be more fun. Like I went back and redid one of my projects for freeCodeCamp in React that I had originally done with jQuery, and I thought it was more fun to make with React the second time around than it was with jQuery. So, I mean, little comparisons like that definitely make me realize that I enjoy using React. But I didn't always. It was really frustrating at first. Sebastian says, arrow function and no need to bind. Okay, cool. So I remember exactly what I was doing at that point. So let me show you just so we all know what we're talking about. So I copied this from the documentation, the React documentation, and basically I just copied it because I was thinking, well, I'm going to copy everything over so I make sure this works. But when I was copying it, I kind of thought, there's got to be a better way to do this. And in fact, there is. If you use arrow functions, then you don't have to do this, because that takes care of it. So you definitely need to change this up. But just know that this line here is definitely not necessary. Let's see. Don Xavier says, when you start using ES6 and Redux with it, it's a whole lot of fun. Yeah, for sure. When you get the hang of some of the stuff in ES6, it is fun. Like, I mean, this is kind of simple, but like template literals changed my life. All right, so it made things so much more simple. You know, at one point I was doing, it seemed like everything I was doing required me to make these long like strings, concatenate all these things together, and then template literals, you know, like I learned about them, and it was just like, wow, this just saved me so much time. And then like you being able to use let and const, like it took me a while to get the hang of when I should use let and const, and what they were good for, but now like it makes a lot of sense. And it's not, there's a lot of other things in ES6 that come in handy, like arrow functions, right? I don't know, React would be so much harder without arrow functions. So anyway, that's cool. I haven't done a lot with Redux yet, but I've seen some things at like some presentations at conferences and on YouTube about Redux, and it looks really cool. So I'm looking forward to learning more about it. Bill says, I only have a few packets of G Fuel left. Need to order a tub of powder soon. Yeah, definitely. So, Bill, as you probably heard me say before, I drink G Fuel for my caffeine often when I'm streaming, and Bill tried it out as well. So, that's pretty cool. I need to see if I can get like some sort of affiliate code or something, so like I can give it out to you guys, and you can get like a certain % off, and then I get some money or something, or at least some free G Fuel. I should do that. Actually, I had an idea this morning that I should try to get like all of my referral codes and things that I have from various things, and then just put them on a website somewhere so that you all can get discounts. Like, you know how they have those codes sometimes where it's like if someone uses your discount code, they get like $10 off or like $10 in credit, and you do too. It would be cool to like have that, and then that way, if you all are going to use something anyway, you might be able to get a discount, and then as a bonus, I might get something out of it too. That might be cool, and then you guys could see what products I use, I guess. I mean, especially with tech stuff, you might be interested in that. So maybe I'll do that at some point. Not really high on my priority list right now, but that might be a cool thing. It might save you all some money. And if I were to do that, it would be me. Officially, freeCodeCamp would not be endorsing any of the stuff that I put on there. So I don't want to imply that at all. Let's see. Kevin says, by the way, the syntax for name inside the object literal is a new thing from ES6. It's called computed property names. All right, cool. Yeah, actually, thanks for pointing that out. So I totally skipped over that and just didn't say anything. But this is really cool. So if you let me go to, in the documentation they have, so they explain this. So here we go. So that part is ES6 computed property name. So if you want to learn more about it, check out, you know, this page in the React documentation, the page on forms. But in ES5, you'd have to write all of this, right? So you'd have to have a variable for partial state, which would be an object, and then partial state name would be given the value, and then this set state partial state, right? So a lot of stuff can be boiled down to just this. Really cool. And thanks for bringing that up. I feel like you all are like catching so many things that I'm either like saying wrong or didn't explain. So thank you. You guys are helping. You all are helping this stream be so much better, especially today. Rudrangshu, not sure about the name, sorry if I'm messing it up, says, anyone know any good tutorials for Redux? I always get lost when I see Redux. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't really know Redux that well, so I can't help you. I think the Learn Code Academy YouTube channel has some videos on Redux. I vaguely remember watching them a while ago. They're pretty old, so I'm not sure how much, if Redux has changed a lot, but I think some of the basic ideas behind it are still the same, so they might be helpful as an introduction. Other than that, I'm about to take the Udacity course on Redux, so I'll be able to let you know if it's good in about a month or so. Goggin asks, just being curious, have you tried Gatsby.js? I have not tried Gatsby yet, but I've had some people recommend it to me. So I'd like to try it at some point, but haven't tried it yet. Bill says the docs for Redux have some good examples. Beyond that, Udemy and Udacity are great resources. Okay, cool. Okay, Rudrangshu is asking for if there's free ones. Udemy is paid. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. I'm trying to get free ones. Well, I mean, the YouTube thing that I was talking about would obviously not be paid. The Udacity is definitely paid, and Udemy as well. Bill says freeCodeCamp has some lessons too in beta or alpha right now. Can't recall. Yeah, you could check out the beta freeCodeCamp curriculum and see what they have there. It might be worth it to just skip ahead and do a couple of the lessons in the beta curriculum. Philip says, you are way nerdier than I thought. What did I don't know, when was that? That was like an hour ago you said that. So I don't remember what I was talking about when he said I was nerdier. So let me know what I was talking about, because I don't disagree that I'm a nerdy person, but I was just wondering what I said that was nerdy. Okay, so WestBoss has a free Redux tutorial. So Sarah says WestBoss has free Redux tutorial. Awesome, thank you for that. Egghead.io/Redux, free tutorials as well. Cool, we got some good resources here. Scotch.io has a resource that's from Don Xavier. And the Great Code Adventure has one as well. Okay, Joseph, before I was using Exact wrong with my link, and Joseph says Exact is used in Navlink and Route. Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying that for me. Omar says, fan from Egypt. Jesse, is this project does this project have a back-end part? Not right now. It may end up having somewhat of a back end. I haven't decided for sure yet. I was actually if you can read my tabs, I was checking out MongoDB and CouchDB just to see if I wanted to try those out for this project. It's not necessary, but we are going to be collecting data and file uploads. So I had considered maybe having some sort of a database to keep track of all that, but it's not 100% necessary. Currently, I'm keeping track of that by, in the live version of this that we're remaking, the data gets sent out in emails. It goes to a Google Sheet, and it goes to our project management system, and that's all through APIs. But it's all done client side, which I don't want to do anymore. So potentially I don't need another database since the data is already being stored, but it does make me a bit nervous that I'm relying on like all this client-side API calls. I'm just not 100% like sure that that's the most reliable way to do things. And I have had some instances where the file uploads didn't go through. So I know somebody tried to upload a file because I got the file name, but the actual file never went through. So that worries me that it's like there are some things slipping through the cracks, and I don't know what the issue is. Yeah. So anyway, I'm thinking about it, but I'm just not sure. Not sure exactly what I want to do about it. Isaiah says, do you think Linux or Mac is a better development environment for a web developer? I don't think I can answer that correctly because so far I've only used Linux on servers. I would like to use Linux. I think my next laptop is probably going to be Linux. I'd really like to try it out. Right now I develop pretty much entirely on Mac. I don't even remember the last time I used a PC to develop anything with. But I really like the experience that I have on a Mac for developing. Though, like I said, I don't have anything to compare it to in terms of Linux. All right, Blake says, or Windows versus Mac. Yeah, honestly, I will have to say I've had a better experience developing on a Mac than I have on Windows. And I developed exclusively on Windows for years before I switched to Mac. And I didn't have a problem with it. The only reason I switched is because the department I work in has all Macs. So I thought, okay, I'll just use a Mac and instead of being the odd one out. So I used a Mac. And after I got used to it, I really, really liked it. I liked it enough that I ended up buying a MacBook for myself because I'd been using an iMac at work. So yeah, I prefer Mac. If we're talking Mac versus Windows, I prefer Mac for development. Obviously, though, if we're talking about gaming, I'd definitely go with Windows if we're gonna do some gaming stuff. But yeah, so that's my opinion. I know there's strong opinions either way on that subject of operating system. Okay, Patrick says, did you use, I'm trying to see, like the empty quotes rather than NBSP for a reason? I'm not sure where that was at. I'm not. Oh, okay. I'm guessing you're talking about this here. Uh, this gets added in automatically, so I keep seeing these. I'm assuming this is something that happens when Prettier runs on commit. So there's no reason why I'm putting these in because I'm not doing it. It's put in automatically. So I'm not even sure why. It doesn't really mess anything up that I've seen, but I'm guessing that's what you were referring to. Brian says, but Yarn has neat icons when you run it. Until NPM has icons, I'll stick with Yarn. And then a little winking emoji. That's a legit reason. That's the most compelling reason I've heard so far to use Yarn, I think. So I'll go with that. Just it seems to me like Yarn and NPM are so similar in what they do that I don't think it matters that much which one you use. So I mean the debate is good, to try to figure out which one is the better thing to use, but I don't think it really has impacted my development experience that much to use either Yarn or NPM. Okay, Rohan says, you usually require extra tinkering to set up dev environment on Windows. Actually, I do. That was true for me. I don't know if it's different because I set everything up on Windows 7. So maybe things are easier now. I don't really know. But at least on Windows 7, it did seem like it was more difficult to get everything running in terms of my dev environment. But I will say that I was much less experienced when I did that. So when I was setting everything up on a Mac, I had already worked through everything on Windows twice before, because I think I had my hard drive crash and I had to get a new one. So I did it, set it up twice. So who knows? Maybe it was my inexperience that made it seem like it was more difficult. But it definitely did seem like it just didn't run quite as smoothly. Patrick says GraphQL is the future. Yeah, I agree. Don Xavier says GraphQL. This is when I was talking a little while ago about someone had asked a question about whether or not they should learn GraphQL if they were going to be a React dev. So in regard to that, Don Xavier says GraphQL unless the client or boss asks for it. Otherwise, simple REST API calls do the trick. And more, even if it becomes, until it becomes a standard, when we use REST APIs? Okay, not sure. The end of that I was a little confused with. But basically, I think I get what you're saying is like REST API calls are fine. Now, if GraphQL does become the standard, then you can always replace that. Or still, I kind of think that was it, which that makes sense. Basically, like I think at this point, it's still safe to hold off on learning GraphQL if you really aren't sure about it yet. I think there's definitely be time to pick it up if in fact GraphQL does really become the thing that replaces REST APIs. Giordano says, hey Jesse, I have a question when the beta site will come online. I'm assuming you're talking about the freeCodeCamp beta curriculum. Correct me if I'm wrong. The answer, I think, officially is soon. So check out, I think Quincy has had like a forum post or blog post or something about it recently. But I think honestly it's like it's going to come out when it's ready, and we're not really sure when it will be ready. I'm not actually working on it, so I don't have any like inside knowledge about it or anything like that. So officially I think there is no release date. So I think they just don't want to release it until it's ready. Bill says, I don't like right left scroll because I tend to accidentally swipe back and forward a page from a Mac. Yeah, I do that too. Patrick said, refactor those into a map over the data, like name, phone, email, .map. Okay, cool. I'll have to see. Alright, I'll have to check that out later on. I'm going to try... Wow, the stream's been going on for over 2 hours now. So I'm going to skip and just go to the questions in the live chat and just try to answer some of the questions, especially if there's from some new people. Okay, Rohan asks, how many people actually drop out after your end of coding announcement? Actually, not a lot. We're like at like 37 viewers now. I think we were closer to 50. To tell you the truth, I didn't really pay attention this time. The most we had in the stream was 60 at one time, just for today's stream. And so now we're down to 37. So we usually don't drop too many. I would say like never more than like 25% of people drop out. Okay, cool. Patrick says you can set up a global git ignore so you don't accidentally add node modules. Okay, that's really, really good advice. I need to do that. You know what? I knew that at some point and then totally forgot about it. That's a great idea. So the stream's been going on a long time, so I'm not going to try to demonstrate this or anything, but you can set it up globally so that for any project you're doing, it'll automatically ignore node modules. So definitely recommend doing that, because I can't think of any reason off the top of my head why you would want to include your node modules in your Git repo. John Hansen says, is it best to have your project all set up to go before building anything, before using Git? I don't know. Sometimes I start building out my project before I start using Git, because there's a lot of basic stuff that I don't really, like, I know how it's going to go. I don't really need to use Git. Other times I start Git immediately before I do anything. I'm not really sure what the best thing would be to do. I suppose, like, if you were working on a team right off the bat, then get Git up and running. But otherwise, if it's just you, then I don't really see a problem in holding off if you're just going to do some basic setup. So, not sure. Other people might have some different insight into that issue. But that's what I do. Okay, almost to the bottom of the live chat. John Hansen says, I've got Jesse to blame for getting me started thinking React. Though I went the React.js route instead of create React app. Yeah, it's harder. It's definitely harder to try to do React from scratch and set up Webpack and everything. I tried to do that at first as well, and failed. So sometimes it's better just to use create React app or Next or something like that, just to get started and get comfortable with it, and then just learn the other stuff later on if you need to. Dixie says, with all the mistakes I make, it's comforting to see you and be like, hey, if Jesse can get through it, so can I. Thanks. Alright. Yeah, once again, I'm very glad to be comforting to you. Jack Bennett asks, what's a good language to learn first? I'm just starting out. It really depends on what you want to do. If you want to get into web development, then I definitely recommend JavaScript. I can't really see any reason why, or any good argument why a web developer would not want to learn JavaScript, because you definitely need it. If you're not so much interested in web development, then you can pick it, depending on what you want to do, you can pick different things. So if you want to make iOS apps, I think Swift is what they develop that in. For Android, it's Java and now Kotlin. If you just want to learn and don't really sure what you want to do, Python seems to be a pretty easy one for beginners. Yeah, I think those are the ones people usually talk about for beginners. I mean, there's some other ones I know that get used in like beginning computer science courses, but I don't know, like Harvard's computer science intro course uses, I think it starts with C. So not really sure. Like if you're trying to teach yourself, I'm not sure that's the best place to start. Bill says in regard to that, you can take the concepts to any language though. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was reading his second comment. He said JavaScript with web development. All right, cool. Definitely agree with that. But you can take the concepts to any language. It's just syntax. Yeah, that is true. Like if you learn one language, the concepts, the core concepts can translate well into other languages. So it would be easier to pick up another computer language, like a programming language, once you learn the first one. So don't worry too much about what you're going to start out with. Isaiah's asked, what are some good ideas for personal projects in React and Redux? I don't know. If you check out freeCodeCamp, in some of their challenges, I think those are good ideas. Like if you're trying to find like a really unique idea to build something that nobody's built, I'm not really sure. I would say like ask friends and family, and maybe they'll have some idea. Otherwise, if you're just looking for ideas in general, then check out the freeCodeCamp challenges. There's a lot of ideas for what to build with user stories and things that'll give you some direction, assuming you haven't done them already. Also, there's great. Okay, cool. So in the live chat, there's some links to a Medium article about things you can build. Okay, cool. So yeah, there are places on the internet that have lists of just ideas for things to build. So check that out. It looks like the freeCodeCamp Medium publication has a post on that, so kind of browse that and see. Blake asks, what framework should I use for HTML5 mobile apps? And then Bill says, have you thought of trying React Native? That would be my recommendation as well. Try out React Native. I have not used it yet, so I can't say for sure, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. All right, I'm just scrolling through the last little bit here, trying to see if there's any more questions. And I am reading the comments too, so if you've commented, I haven't missed that, but I'm not going to read it out loud just because the video's been really long at this point. Okay, cool. I got through everything. All right, Bill says he's got to run. See you later, Bill. All right, so I think I've gotten through all the questions. Really sorry if I missed something. Ask me again sometime, and I'll do my best to answer. Thank you so much for watching and for being in the live chat and contributing and for helping me out a lot. Thanks to Kevin and Sebastian for the pull requests. They were awesome. and I'll be back tomorrow. So until then, have a great day.